because that officer would be coming from the same culture.
Police
but
officer
you
culture.
are white and I am black, and that's the situation we're in. And that's the one that's most frequently experienced in this country, is totally negative.
See, I'm just feeling a lot of anger from, you know, so I don't feel like I'm being, you call it seen, or, you know, in that situation, that I'm being seen because I'm white and because I'm a policeman, that I'm wrong right from the very beginning.
Yeah, so I can see how both of you and how history are also in this room, but in other words, how both of you have feelings that are really big, and we also have a whole history that we're dealing with that happened long before either of you showed up in this room. I feel that really strongly, and I feel, you know, a challenge to hold your feelings, and also to hold that history, because I feel pain around that too. And I think it's safe to say that I believe that each of us has a deep longing for things to be right with everyone, and wants to be seen for how we're trying to contribute that to that world. And I can see how you doing your job and you living your life kind of collided. And what I would like for us to do in these next minutes is to take turns really trying to tune into each other and hear how this experience that he's describing right now, you can step back for a moment and really hear what he's saying apart from what it might mean about you. And I promise you that we're going to come back to you. Okay?
And, you know, I felt like I was when I said that I hear that, you know, he wants to be understood. And I was just responding to the fact that he said he didn't believe it.
Yeah. So I'm getting that there's some mistrust. You're wondering how you can really trust that this person is hearing and understanding you after what happened, after there's so much feeling of anger and tension in the air.
So you're asking me if I trust him?
I'm trying to empathize with how you might not trust him. It would be hard to trust. And also to empathize with how that feeling of mistrust could have been created over much time, over many years, having nothing to do with you.
Yes.
So I wonder if we can tune into him for a moment. So I'm really getting a sense that you want to be seen and respected as somebody who is really trying your best at that moment to contribute to the safety of the people around you.
I was doing the best I know with my job, and based upon the information that I had. And I felt that I was being harassed, and was concerned.
When?
When?
Yeah.
With the comments that I was hearing, you know, with the
After
words that
the
were being
incident.
used during the incident.
Ah,
Well, I'm going back to the incident.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were referring to.
Uh-huh. Okay, so during the incident, you heard things, and in the moment you heard some of the things that Dr. Gates said, your need for respect was not met.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I mean, not just respect, but safety.
Safety and respect. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah.
I walk with a cane. I'm an old man. And you felt unsafe?
Sir, the things you were saying to me were very threatening.
What's your name? What's your badge number? That was threatening to you?
You know, about my mama.
What about
do you remember
your
that?
mama?
And that this is what is always happening to black men. It was very, you were on the defensive from the very beginning
And you wouldn't have been in your own home.
Okay, so I'm going to stop this for just a moment, and I wonder if we could just take a moment and tune in to this feeling that he had, this need for safety and for respect. I appreciate that it's a really hard thing to do.
I can't feel anything about how he was feeling unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for you to feel unsafe. You have the gun and the badge. Mm-hmm. And you're in my home. You've invaded my home.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a report of a robbery.
Mm-hmm. So in your mind, you were going to investigate someone who might...
Absolutely.
Wow.
I mean, you mentioned about history, and there's both of us are dealing with a lot of history. You know, I'm dealing with very volatile situations on a daily basis.
So I'm getting that at this moment it's really hard to tune in to his need for safety and respect. So I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to go over to him for a moment. Is that okay? We are going to come back. So I just felt a lot of anger from you at the sense that, you know, how could he have felt unsafe in that moment? So I just want to put out that all of us, no matter where we go, have a need for safety, and we don't know what's going to trigger that. And it may have had nothing to do with you. It may have had to do with his years on the street as a cop. It may have had to do with a TV show we saw last night, or anything at all.
It's not my responsibility to worry about what his history is. He was in my home. Mm-hmm. He works for me. Mm-hmm. He works for all of the citizens in that community to protect them. Mm-hmm. If I had been a white man in that house, he wouldn't have done anything. He wouldn't have said anything.
That's not true.
Okay. So that might be completely true. And at the same moment, I wonder if we can just take a moment and tune into his human need for safety in that moment.
I can easily tune into anyone's need for safety.
Okay.
But a man with a badge and a gun, mm-hmm. anything I do or don't do, he can shoot me and it is over. Mm-hmm. It is done. Mm-hmm. We have historical precedents for that having happened for centuries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And nobody would ever question it. Mm-hmm. If he had shot me, there wouldn't have been one question about whether or not that man on the floor had been yelling or screaming or had pulled his cane up and started to strike him.
Well, that would have been an inappropriate use of my
and
my
that
job.
will never happen.
Hasn't I have not done such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that.
And I didn't know about you.
And you didn't stop to even consider. And I know you would have considered it different if I had been white.
And all I was noticing was a very confrontative person from the very beginning of the interaction when I was going to do my job. Mm-hmm.
And that really upset you.
It puts me into a different role. It changes the nature of what I need to be doing at that time. Mm-hmm. If I had been greeted with some level of respect because the reason I was going there was to check about a possible robber, someone who had broken in. Mm-hmm. I was responding to that, so my role was to check that out, and it didn't seem like I was greeted with I was not received well mm-hmm. from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm. So then you really began to feel your need for safety.
Well, I mean, that's why I went through the asking for identification and all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what you did is you told me to come outside. And I told you I wouldn't. and for you to come in, and you came in, and I showed you my identification. That was it right then. You knew where I lived. You knew I was in possession of that house. All you need to do